Welcome to the Explainer. So, what if you could end global scarcity, like literally architect it, with the same precision you'd use to build software? It sounds out there, I know, but that's exactly the claim we're going to dig into today. Okay, so who's making this wild claim? A company called Today's Ultimate Solutions. And get this, they're not just talking about reducing hunger. No, their goal is to build a whole new social and economic system where hunger just can't exist. So to really wrap our heads around this plan, we've got to look at where it came from. And this is not some fly-by-night startup, you guys. We're talking about a 38-year journey. Yeah, they've come a long way. They started out as this kind of broad 90s-era service provider and have completely transformed into, well, architects of what they're calling a new economic and social operating system. Think of it like this: an AI-powered ecosystem built from the ground up with one goal: making sure everyone has what they need, period. All right, so how do you even begin a project this massive? Well, it all starts with something surprisingly simple: a food bar. But trust me, this is about way more than just a snack. So yeah, this is not your average granola bar. The Barness Miracle Bar is basically a tool. It's high nutrition, it's plant-based, and they package 60 of them into these treasure chests for what they call the 24K challenge. And that's 24,000 calories. That's enough to be a 2-week food supply. It's designed to be the absolute foundation for food security. And the scale of this thing, wow, it's just mind-boggling. First up, production. The plan calls for making 2 million of these bars. Not a month, not a week, every single day. Okay, so you're making 2 million bars a day. Now what? How do you get them to the people who need them? Well, the answer is a global network of 8 million self-powered vending machines. The idea is to put them basically everywhere to make sure everyone has access. And of course, the big question: how much does all this cost? You might want to sit down for this. We're talking about a proposed investment of $100 billion. $100 billion. And you got to understand, this isn't just funding for a food company. This is supposed to be the seed money to build an entirely new economic engine from scratch. And that brings us to a really crucial point. This whole project, it's not actually about selling food bars. The bar is just what they call a stabilization primitive. It's the first step, the tool that buys everyone time so the real work can happen, fixing the entire system. Right, so if the bar is just step one, what's the real solution? Well, it's all about going after what they see as the deep, fundamental flaws in our current economic system. So they start by attacking what they call weak assumptions. The first one, the idea that any one product, even a superfood bar, can end hunger. Their AI, which is called GENII, just reframes the whole problem. It says, look, hunger isn't a product problem, it's a systems failure. Okay, next up is distribution. You know how normally you try to make things cheaper by just making a ton of them? That's scale economics. Well, they're flipping that on its head. They want to shift to what they call coordination economics. Basically, the cost of getting the bar to you isn't tacked onto the price of the bar. It becomes a shared expense of the whole infrastructure. It's a really different way of thinking about it. And how they want to run this thing is also really interesting. Instead of having one giant central command center that could totally fail, the model uses something called federated execution. So imagine you've got all these local teams on the ground doing the actual work, but they're all being guided and optimized by one central AI. It's smart, right? It builds in resilience and makes sure there's no single point of failure. And then there's the money. How do you actually pay for all this? They're pretty realistic here. They say you can't just cross your fingers and hope investors will do the right thing. So their model does something pretty wild. It tries to turn the impact of solving hunger into a bankable financial instrument, something you can invest in with predictable risks and returns, not just a charitable donation you hope does some good. Okay, so we have the tool, the bar. We have the brains, the AI. But what does this world actually look like? What's the end game here? Well, the ultimate vision, the final picture, is a network of these intentional communities they call sanctuary kill zones. The idea is that these are hubs, literally designed from the ground up for sustainable living and real human cooperation. And check out the guarantee they say. You'd get living in one of these places. A home of your dreams, all the local food you can eat, a job that covers every single expense, and a guaranteed monthly surplus. I mean, we're talking about a vision of complete and total economic security. So, what's the engine driving this whole thing? They call it the triple helix. And it's pretty simple, really. It's about weaving three things together to create abundance: technology, which is the AI, sustainability, managing our resources, and human health, making sure people are actually doing well. And all of this brings us to the big final question, right? The one at the very heart of this whole blueprint. Is a world without scarcity, is that actually possible? Can you really engineer it with a system like this? At the end of the day, their whole philosophy really comes down to this one simple distinction. They say that lots of AI models are out there to think about ideas, to evaluate them, but their system, GENII, is built to be the operating system that actually does them. It's all about moving from just thinking about it to actually building it. So that's the blueprint. It's huge, it's ambitious, and it leaves me wondering, and maybe you too, what's the biggest hurdle here? Is it the tech? Is it the $100 billion? Or is it just us, our own human nature?